And that's why that's my favorite logo. Wow, you really are a Mario fan. Oh yeah? Then what's your favorite logo? Kingdom Hearts? Hey! Don't you even think about it! But no but! I bet you didn't expect another tier list so soon. Yeah, me neither. This time, I'm gonna be talking about video game logos instead of music. This one should be a little more straightforward, I hope. Also, I kinda changed my mind in the tier list from the last video. What was I thinking for some of those choices? I know I made a set of rules for the last tier list, but I'll have to change them a bit just for this video. I'm still going to rank 4 games from 4 different categories. They'll be the same as last time except Under Night, Guilty Gear, and Megami Tensei. For the 2 fighting games, I'll replace it with KOF and Virtua Fighter. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't include KOF in my last video. For the new RPG game, I'll use Kingdom Hearts. It technically is an RPG. I never said it had to be a turn-based one. So that's that. Next, I won't include spin-offs this time. Some games have spin-offs that have a completely different logo from their main one. So unless I'm specifically talking about the spin-off, I won't be including them. And finally, I'm gonna judge all these series by looking at these criterias. Is it recognizable? Does it portray the series it's for? And is it easy to read? Now that I have the rules down, let's start. Just like last time, I'll start with Mario. Of course, I'm only looking at the main games. And when I say that, I mean from the time this logo was used. As far as I'm aware, Super Mario World was the first game to use this, or something similar to it. But everything after the SNES era pretty much used this logo. So is it recognizable? Well, given that this was pretty much used in Mario games since the 1990s, I'd say it's pretty recognizable. The colors used are pretty fun. Nothing dark, all pretty vibrant, and they are spread out pretty well. With that being said, I'd say that this does portray the series well. I mean, if this logo's colors were darker, you would think it's some type of eerie game, right? And at the end of the day, it's pretty easy to read. This easily gets an S tier. Another good start for Mario games. The Legend of Zelda is pretty consistent with its logo. It's a pretty legendary looking logo if anything. It definitely has a shape that anyone can recognize at any color. So just like that, it's already recognizable and portrays the series. To me, it portrays the series better than Mario. And to top it all off, it's pretty easy to read. This one deserves to be above Mario on the tier list. Donkey Kong is pretty cool. It's another one of Nintendo's good logos. In fact, does Nintendo have any bad logos? I don't think so. So in terms of this logo, it's pretty simple. It's just the name with 2 colors, so you could probably notice it from far away. However, this logo doesn't give a Donkey Kong vibe. I guess it's pretty wacky, but that's as far as I can give it in terms of portraying the series well. It is pretty easy to read though. I'm putting it below Mario. Super Smash Bros. Probably has to be one of my favorite Nintendo logos. This is a logo with an actual meaning given to it. But first, yes, it's recognizable. This is a logo that actually fits its series if you know what the funny looking O means. It's meant to be 4 players and the cross is supposed to be the series that's crossing over. And like many of Nintendo's logos, this one's pretty easy to read. With that being said, this series is at the top of S tier. All S is for Nintendo. Wow! Sonic is pretty whatever in terms of its logo. I mean, yeah, it is recognizable, and yeah, it's easy to read. But in terms of portraying the series, it doesn't really do that. Well, unless it's supposed to try and convey the message that these games have pretty bland gameplay, then yes, it does it perfectly. But in all seriousness, it really is a letdown that this logo looks plain and simple. Nothing bad with that, but Sonic is meant to be cool. Like, look at Sonic Mania's logo. The Sonic part may be the same as always, but the Mania part looks so much more interesting. I'll put Sonic in A tier. Tetris. It's a Tetris block with the word Tetris written in it. High S tier. Mega Man has had different logos over the years. It started off with this interesting looking logo, and then it became what it is now. I like both versions, but I'll focus on the present one. It's pretty cool. If this were silhouetted, however, this would be pretty hard to recognize. It is readable when it's normal, but in terms of portraying, I can't really say it does that, so I'm going to have to put this in B tier. Although I really like this logo, it really has nothing going for it. Minecraft is easily a recognizable logo. Put it far away, anyone can tell it's Minecraft. Make it all one color, people can still tell it's Minecraft. It does help at the fact that many people know and even play this game. It also does a good job on portraying what this game is about, giving the logo some cracks here and there. There's also a little creeper face on the A, which is pretty nice. It's another logo where it's pretty much just the name of the game series, so it's pretty readable. Minecraft honestly gets an S tier. Street Fighter recently got a logo update. This really fits Street Fighter 6 so much. Everything about it is so good. The fact that it's more modern, the fact that it's new, the fact that the 6 is written in 2 different ways in one logo, it's fantastic. The Street Fighter logo before this was also great. It fits more with the 90s games in the series with the funky looking logo, but it still holds up just fine now. It's pretty recognizable, and it's pretty straightforward to read. High S tier. Tekken is a pretty consistent series with its logo, until Tekken 7.
Oh no, not this game again.
Tekken used to include the kanji characters for Tekken behind the English writing, but Tekken 7 decided to exclude that to make it look cleaner. You know, I don't actually mind this change. It actually looks nicer this way, honestly. And it's actually so much more recognizable this way too. I always get a metallic and dark vibe when it comes to this series, and wouldn't you know it, the logo does a good job in portraying that. And yes, it's pretty readable. Why'd I even include this category? Anyways, Tekken low S tier.
A lot more S tiers than I expected.
The King of Fighters is a fighting game that slips my mind. I actually don't know how that's possible. It's one of my favorite fighting games to begin with. Maybe it has something to do with the logo. Speaking of the logo, I'm mainly going to focus on KOF 15's logo. It's probably the cleanest the series ever looked in terms of logos. A thing I like about KOF logos is how it tries to fit in with the era the game is from, and this logo does pretty good with that. It's pretty recognizable too. However, this logo doesn't really tell me anything about what type of game KOF is. That's the problem with all KOF logos too. We know it's King of Fighters because of the name, but we don't know what type of theme this series is trying to go for. Hip, funky, cool, edgy? It really doesn't tell us much. It is readable though. This series is A tier, but it's closer to S tier than you may think. Virtua Fighter is a pretty underrated fighting game series.
I say that, but I never even played a Virtua Fighter game.
This logo somehow stayed pretty much the same throughout the series. I don't even know how. It's got 2 of the 3 categories checked. Recognizable and readable. But this series has a similar issue in the way it portrays its series with the logo alone. What am I supposed to understand from this logo? In fact, this logo makes it so much harder to understand what type of style the game is going for than KOF. At least that logo changes throughout time. This logo stayed the same every game, and it even lost its color the older games included. I'm sorry, but I have to put this logo in B tier. It really isn't that cool. Now that I think about it, the F in Fighter looks backwards. Dragon Quest is another series with a consistent logo. It's pretty recognizable since it's another one of those titles with a little extra. Good. It does a pretty good job representing the series it's from. It has the Final Fantasy effect where every game would have some sort of illustration for the specific game. It's pretty good. Without that though, it still does a pretty good job portraying the series. It gives off an adventurous vibe with how the text is stone-like. And there's a sword for the T. Pretty cool. And it's readable too. S tier. Pokemon is iconic at this point. It's just as iconic as Mario and Minecraft. It's pretty simple, but that makes it easy to read and makes it recognizable. I can't really say it portrays its series the best way. Like the O's could have been Pokeballs instead of this interesting design. But at the same time, I can't say it doesn't represent the series well. It gives off a fun type of vibe when you look at it. I mean, would you say that this logo would be used for a Resident Evil type of game? So I guess it does its job just fine. I'll say this is barely above Tekken. Final Fantasy is one of my favorite logos. It probably has the cleanest design from all the series I've talked about so far. It's just so mature looking, easily recognizable and easily readable. And just like in Dragon Quest, it has illustrations representing every installment in the series. If I show you this logo, you'll know it's the Final Fantasy VII logo. It's the comment which was one of the main parts of the game.
You would know that if you played the original game.
Don't worry, remake players, that'll come out soon, like in a century from now.
But besides that, even without these illustrations, it gives off the game's vibe. It shows that this is a more mature story than something like Dragon Quest or Pokemon. It's fantastic. High S tier. Our final game for the day is the Kingdom Hearts series. This one isn't that bad. It portrays the series just fine. It gives off such a gothic vibe from its text and the heart in the background. It's pretty fitting since this game has such a gothic feeling anyways. Like if you take away the Disney element to the series, it really would feel like that. Hollow Bastion has that, and Dive to the Heart especially gives off that feeling of gothic design. And also in a way, the Organization 13 even gives off that gothic vibe. So yeah, if this weren't a Disney crossover game, that's what you most likely would expect the series to be like. The story would probably be so much easier to understand that way too. Anyways, it's a great representation of the series. Now it may be a little tough to recognize if it were a silhouette, that's a shame, but reading isn't that bad.
No, seriously, why'd I even include this category?
All in all, I'll put it slightly above Tekken. And there you have it. This tier list is very different from the music one. It seems like game series really know how to make a great logo. This time around, there are many S tiers, which means that many of these companies know how to make a good logo. But then again, I never took graphic design classes to know whether these are actually good logos or not. Guess I wasn't the best person to rely on when it comes to this stuff. That's fine.
Do you agree with this tier list? You probably don't, and I'm fine with that. After all, it's only my opinion. If you want another tier list video, do comment down below on what type of tier list you want to see and what games you want me to rank. Logos are a pretty important component to any brand, and video games are no exception. I do like looking at logos from time to time, but I'm definitely not the person to rely on for this topic. Anyways, time to redesign the Eebworld logo.